In this video, I really want to thank you guys because just recently we had some really awesome news. And that is that on our Facebook page, we hit the 20,000 members mark, which is really, really awesome. So thank you for that. And thank you for that a lot. Because when I think about it, 20,000 people, that's a lot of people. I mean, that is more people than in the whole town I was growing up in. So just that idea is really awesome. And yeah, I know that only about 2,000 to 6,500 people of you are active on a weekly basis. So I know that, but still that's a lot of people. It's definitely a lot of people. It's like a whole university, a whole private university. And okay, now we might not have academic standards of a university, nor do we have the attendance of a university, but it's still really, really awesome, just when I think about it. And oh, 1 second, I make the music a little bit easier on my ears, because yeah, this is a little bit of a cheap video. I'm not really wanting to edit this because I had to reset my PC and I still haven't installed Premiere Pro and After Effects, so I really don't want to edit this. So the music that you can hear in the background is basically playing here in the background, and if someone is interested, that's Impact Andante and Impact Allegretto by Kevin MacLeod, who is making royalty-free music. So if you're into music for your animations, videos, whatever, just check out Kevin MacLeod. He's a good source, and he also has a website called Incompetech. But that much about that. And yeah, when I say thank you to you people, I think there's one thing that I really, really shouldn't forget. And that is, of course, the people I should be thanking first. And that is all my moderators and my admins. And so a special thank you, of course, to Daniel, Dwayne, Bill, and Bob, who all do a great job. And now it's even rhyming, and that's funny, kind of funny. And yeah, they're all pretty active. And as you can see, especially Daniel is pretty active. And it's pretty funny because of every 30 people that come new to this group, or come freshly to this group, I only accept like 1, 2, or maybe 3 people. So almost all the other people are accepted by other admins and moderators, especially Daniel, I think, who's very active or has been very active lately. And yeah, that's awesome, because I actually did some mathematics and I figured out that on average, every 15 to 20 minutes, someone is logging in on this site and accepting people or accepting comments, accepting whatever. And yeah, that's really, really awesome that I have these awesome people behind me that are doing such good work here and that are so active on this group, because really without you guys, I couldn't be making this. So you're really the backbone of this group, and I'm very glad to have you here. But also I want to say thank you to all the other moderators and admins that have already been in this group, because this group is already about 4 years old. And yeah, when I started this group, I actually thought that by now we might be having like 3,000 or 4,000 people. So my expectations got excited, I'm a little bit overwhelmed, so sorry. My expectations were outnumbered by a factor of 5 to 6, so that's really, really awesome. And yeah, I also want to thank the moderators and admins that are not anymore in this group, and especially Lisa Baylis and Christiane Schütze, who have both doing a lot of great work, and especially Lisa, who has been very active and been leading this group with me for a very long time. So also thank you to all the guys out there who also helped with this group. And yeah, and thank you again also to all these members, these great members that are helping out, because it's so much fun to see this group growing. As yeah, some people who started here 2 or 3 years ago and who were absolute beginners, as you can see, Blender help for absolute beginners. Yeah, these people started 2 or 3 years ago, and now we're teaching other people, and it's really fun to see how people progress and how people are helping each other. And usually the comments are very nice. It's not like I want to destroy the other guy. People are giving criticism, but usually in a nice way. So this is really also a nice group, and there's pretty rarely comments that we have to remove, so that's really, really awesome. And yeah, now that I've said all of that, I want to go over to the second part of this video, because I want to do something that I've wanted to do for a long time. But yeah, I just never found the time or the motivation to actually do it. But that's okay, because today I will do it. The thing is, a lot of people are always asking me, but where do I start? 3D art is so complex, or the whole animation thing is so complex, and already the software is so complex, and there's so much things that I have to learn. So how do I start? Where do I start? And yeah, that's a really common question. But we're getting here, and yeah, I think we should be going on that first of all. And yeah, if you're already in this group is a great way to start, because you can ask people directly and post your artworks and get comments and reply on comments. So I think that Facebook is much better social site, a social media site, than YouTube to actually learn and improve on Blender. But if you want to watch videos and learn by watching videos, of course your first goal would be YouTube. But before you do anything with a 3D software, I think it is very important that you have some basic understanding of what you're actually doing, because 3D art is actually like a pinnacle of art, if I can say so, for a reason that 3D art incorporates many forms of other art. So you should at least have a basic understanding of normal art forms, or the other art forms that there are, so that you can competently work in 3D. So the first thing that I would suggest you to do is learn something about composition, which is understanding the shapes in the images, but also understanding shapes and forms in general, like this one, like what does a square communicate, what does a circle communicate, when should I use it, and yeah, you should do that. And then you should also, of course, learn about light and shadow, which is important. I'm not even sure whether I included that in here, but next thing you should learn is about light, and shadow, and get some art tutorials, maybe light and shadow, 10 minutes to better painting. Yeah, you should be watching videos like that. And of course, when we are talking about light, the next thing that you should know is how to correctly use color, which is very important. Also, even the Blender Guru made a video about that, but this is maybe not the best video about color or understanding color. I mean, I've talked to artists that are in the painting industry, and they've been painting for like 20 or 25 years or even longer. And even such artists say, "Oh no, I still don't understand everything about color, because it's a very complex thing to learn about color. Color is a very complex thing if you really dig into it." But yeah, you don't have to be a specialist, but you should at least have some basic understanding of color, so that's also important. And I just see how many tabs I still have, and I don't want to make this video like a 1-hour video. I think already 30 minutes would be very long, so let's go to the next tab. Yeah, and now you see some cameras in here, and that's of course the next big thing, because if you're working in 3D space, what you're basically doing is working with digital cameras. And that means that you should at least have some basic understanding of cameras. How do we work, and what is an aperture, what exposure times are correct, what does a longer or shorter exposure time do to your images, what kind of bokeh do you get if you have this or that kind of aperture. So that's important. And also you should know how, for instance, images with a 35mm lens and an 80mm lens and so on look, because that's very important. And yeah, some people think that bigger is always better, and I've seen pictures where there was a complete beginner and he was taking his pictures with a digital camera, and it had a focal length like 300 or 400 millimeters, and he was like, "Oh, it doesn't really look like I Sorry, he was like, oh, this doesn't look like I imagined it. Guys, can you please help me? How do I fix that? Do you think 300 is enough? Should I maybe go 500? So that's of course not good if you want to take digital images, if you want to use a camera in 3D space and you don't even know the most basic stuff about cameras. So again, before you even touch a 3D software, you should learn a little bit about photography and videography, of course, because yeah, that's very important. And I think without at least some basic knowledge in that, yeah, this one looks pretty good. Maybe you watch this one. Master camera in 20 minutes. This is not looking too bad. And yeah, you should watch some of these, and I think your understanding of what you're actually doing in 3D space will be much better just after watching some videos. And yeah, then most of you will probably want to animate. I mean, there's so many possibilities in 3D space. Some others are maybe just like, I just want to texture, or I just want to model, or I just want to rig some things, or I just want to 3D print. I don't know what you exactly want to do with your time and with the software and your knowledge. So, one sec. But for those of you who want to animate, I think it's very important to also learn about the basics, the principles of animation, and there's even a series, the principles of animation, which has been made by an animator who has been working for Disney, I think. And now, I also don't know these by heart, I have to admit myself, but I've watched these ones, and I think I've watched this video like 3, 4, or 5 times, something like that. So it definitely wouldn't be the first time that I'm watching this video, and yeah, just go ahead and learn a little bit about the basics of animation, because I think that already watching this video will help you a lot in the way of thinking about how to do animation. It doesn't make you an animator to watch videos about animation, but I think it is very important just to get a basic understanding again here of the topic. So, and yeah, once you have done that, I still wouldn't suggest you to touch the 3D software, which is Blender in this case, our great Blender software. Thanks to Ton Rosendahl also for putting all his effort and time into making this software, because it's really awesome. And I've met Ton Rosendahl personally, like I think 4 years or so ago in Amsterdam, and he's really nice guy, and yeah, I think he has done a lot to the art community, so also thank you to him before I forget it. Before you actually do your own art, I think it is not a bad idea to actually learn of the mistakes of other people when they were starting with their own art. So yeah, why not watch 1 or 2 art reviews where you have a look at some images from the point of a professional artist who says, okay, this and that is not good for this or that reason, or this and that is very good for this and that reason. Because having a look at art that is not yet professional, some amateur art, and then a professional gives some criticism on it, really helps a lot, because there are some mistakes that many people do, and if you can learn of the mistakes of other people, that's probably faster than making all these mistakes by yourself. So yeah, just watch some art reviews and watch some art getting roasted, as you can see here. And when you have done that, you might want to see some 3D art reviews. And yeah, that's the next thing that I would suggest to you guys. Yeah, and when you can see also things like good versus bad character design, good versus bad animation, good versus bad modeling, you can basically replace character design with anything that you can imagine. Good versus bad rigging, good versus bad compositing. Because again, it is important to compare why does a certain concept work or why does it not work. And so these comparing videos, good versus bad, that's always also a good thing you might check out. Yeah, and also, even before touching the 3D software, you might be watching some speed arts, because then you can have a basic understanding of a workflow and see all the tools that the artist is using, and just get a general idea about how the software works. Even if you don't have any idea how the modifiers and so on are called, it doesn't matter. But it's really nice to just see some videos, to watch some videos and get a basic idea of what people are doing there. So yeah, you should get a whole concept of it. I think that's an important thing, because if you start with one detail of it and without even having a look at art and general topics that are important for artists, if you just have a look at modeling all the time and that's the only thing that you're doing, you're getting kind of tunnel vision, and I think that's usually not a good thing. Maybe almost always not a good thing. So yeah, just watch some speed art and get a basic overview, and maybe watch like some cool kind of dinosaur or something is made. That's also cool. And yeah, you can watch then also videos like Blender 3D in 20 minutes, where you get a complete overview, which is of course just very shallow at the surface, but again, just giving you a whole concept of the software. And yeah, then of course, now we are at the point where we start working in the program. So the first thing is of course getting used to the interface. And yeah, maybe you want to check out this course or that course. This one by CG Cookie is probably even better because it's a full course. And yeah, after part 1, there are like 15 or 16 more, I think, something like that. And you will get all the basics there. Yeah, or you can also check out this course. So I think, or is this actually this? No, it's a number course. Yeah, you can see how objects are created and deleted again and manipulated, and transformations are done, and how we edit work modes and why we work in edit mode and not in object mode and so on, or when we work in edit mode and not in object mode. Sorry. Yeah, and then you can also check out some beginner courses, like the very famous donut tutorial, which I think many 3D artists started with. But whoops, I'm sorry for the coughing. I don't know, I was fine before the video, but once the talking started, I got a real hoarse and dry throat. So yeah, it just started with a coughing. I was actually fine until now. It happens pretty often when you're talking a lot. So you can check out this one, but I don't really like that one too much. I also don't like Blender Guru very much. But now you might be saying, but here's the most subscriber, so he must be the best. Let me put it like that. His content is okay. I've also met him as a person. He is, yeah, also kind of okay. Although he was not the most... He was, to me, not the nicest person on the Blender conference when I attended in 2017. But the thing actually why he has so many subscribers is that he is just around for a very long time. And yeah, that's him basically. And I hope I won't get roasted or hated or whatever and cause a shitstorm on YouTube because I'm criticizing this guy. And I just want to get it straight again. I don't have any problem with him. I just don't think that he is the best first address to learn 3D art. And also with Donut tutorial, it has some problems with it. So first of all, when you're just really beginning with stuff, with 3D art, I mean in general, I think it's more important to get the most basic stuff right than starting with complex modeling already, or some fluid simulation and particle systems and so on and so on. And the next thing is, many of you, as I know from the group, they just don't have much time. Some of you, they say, okay, I only can spend like 30 minutes maximum in the evening on the software. If I'm suggesting a course that has 17 parts, and it will take 17 days for you to complete, it's very frustrating, and I don't think that's a good thing to do at the beginning, because I think what you should be doing at the beginning is start some low poly work. I mean, this is also pretty high poly, as you can see. There's a lot of details and the sprinkles, and there's also some bumps and so on in the glazing. So what I would suggest you is starting it very simple. So using the KISS formula, if you know that one, keep it short and simple. And yeah, you should have a simple start and just understand some basic shapes in 3D before you start with a more complex project. Because let's be honest, if you put this one through and you go to part like, let's say like part 8, 9 or 10, but you've mixed some stuff up because you don't really have an idea of the software, and it's not looking as it looks on the screen or on his screen. And yeah, let's say it just as it is. If this is the first thing that you're starting with, the first project you're starting with, if something messes up or you just lack the motivation or whatever, it will be a very frustrating experience for you to start a tutorial series that maybe after part 8, 9 or 10 you will not continue or you will not finish. So please do yourself a favor and start with small projects, because I already see, when I'm seeing this here 17 parts, I already see the frustration of many people with not pulling the whole series through. And it's better to go small steps and start one thing at a time than to start with projects that are too big for you and will just cause a lot of frustration to you. So that's also important to talk about frustration, motivation, and yeah, going simple, easy, small steps. I think that's a very important thing after all. Yeah, so this is one that you might be checking out. Blender 3D, create a 3D isometric bedroom in 50 minutes. Yeah, something like that, for instance. Some really, really basic shapes where you can get started with that. But I think you can even go easier than that. So you can, for instance, start some...
Hey everyone, it's Steve here from CG.
I would start with low poly in any case, because as I said, adding the higher detail later on is no problem. But really understanding, oh, that's a funny face here. Really understanding the basics of the shapes, that's so important, because even with great artists, they do a blocking stage before they do all the details. And yeah, you have to get that right. So if you know how to make details, but your basic shapes are not correct, it's terrible. It's really, really terrible. So work on that first before you start with the complex stuff. And I just see that I've lost my internet connection again. Isn't that great? Verbinden, that is German for connecting. And again, we get some advertisements. Isn't that awesome? So with this ad, I'm basically supporting CG Geek. Isn't that great? CG Geek's, by the way, also a great channel to learn 3D in general. If you haven't checked them out already, you can do that. But I will talk about great channels at the end of the video, so just stick with me a little bit more. Yeah, and he's just creating a very nice low poly world. And this is also nice because you can already create a lot of stuff or a lot of objects in your scene. It doesn't take a lot of time, and very fast you will get a reward, because after maybe 2, 3 or 4 hours, you will have your first object or your first scene that you created. And it's something that you can be proud of, show people on Facebook. And it's not like, oh, look at that, my Facebook friends. I just finished part 4 of a donut tutorial that I might not ever finish. But this is something that you can show. So I think that's also a very important thing for beginners, especially if you're a little bit younger or don't have a lot of time. Because, as I said, small steps that are working, small step by step, is so much better than attempting to make big steps and then failing at it. Yeah, and he's making some 3D worlds here, and that's really fun, because it also looks really good. I really like that low poly style. In fact, there are many low poly games that you might buy on Steam or Origin or whatever, or in general that you can buy. But I think that they look better than other games that are supposed to be really awesome with graphics, because I really like that stylized and simple appearance of objects. So yeah, you might check out low poly at first. I think that's the best thing that you can do as a beginning artist. And yeah, I also think that even if you just want to animate and you're like, oh, I will just download some models on the internet and do the animation there, I think it's still very wise or sensible to start with modeling at first. So especially if you want to become a generalist, a 3D generalist, always start with modeling because it helps you really to get the grasp of 3D space and getting used to stuff. So that's something you might want to start with. And here's another thing that someone created. So, oops. And we're getting an ad again. Isn't that great?
Das machen wir jetzt hier noch.
So, das machen wir jetzt. That's what we are doing now. Yeah, this one's in German, as you can see, but it's also some really nice content here. This guy basically is showing you how to make some low poly animals, and I think that's a good thing. Also to get to some organic shapes and learn how to see where to put geometry, because there are some points like, oh, here there have to be some vertices for legs to pull them out, and this one here that goes straight, here it goes a little bit up, so here must be another one. It's really important to learn to see where these shapes have to be, where it's important to have geometry and where it is not important to have geometry. And if you're starting with some very simple organic stuff like some low poly animals, I think that's a very, very good first project, because you can easily do that in one afternoon if you're a fast learner. And you will very fast have your first results, because for me it was a very frustrating thing at the beginning when I was starting with 3D, that I was following some tutorials, or I got some tutorial series, and we were like 20 or 30 hours, and I paid 40 euro for a DVD or a DVD set, and yeah, you're sitting days and days in front of a screen before you get your first results. And yeah, if you start with something like that, I think that's a very good starting point. And yeah, I've been playing around with 3D for about 10 years now, more as a hobby, as a profession or something like that. But let me tell you, with all the crashes that I had and all the weird software bugs and PCs that I had to reset and stuff like that, I can sure tell you about frustration when starting 3D. So be wise and listen to my advice. Now it's rhyming again, it's funny. Be wise and listen to my advice, but it is important to have some results fast at the beginning, so that you don't lose interest in the thing that you're doing. So that's another thing. And here's another tutorial by Abbitt, who's also a great tutorial maker, where you can make a giraffe. And really, if you just get the forms right, that's really awesome. Oh, it has a short neck, I see. Usually it must be something like that. The necks are usually longer than that. Because if you already get the shapes right, it is looking very nice. And also, if you just want to do sculpting and you say, yeah, well, I don't really care. I will just make some kind of base mesh, and I'm sculpting all the details anyways, so who cares if my base mesh is so great? Yeah, that's not a good way of thinking about it, because if your base mesh already has the right shapes and sizes, the proportions are fine, the topology is fine, it will make sculpting much easier for you. So I think that's really the first thing that you should be starting when you're doing 3D. And when I just mentioned topology, that's another thing that I've been getting at the start of this video. Understanding, 1 second, topology. It's a little bit hard. It's a little bit hard to type because my microphone is standing on my laptop, and this is not the best setup. I don't have a boom arm, so I cannot hold it in front of my face. Yeah, something like that is good. I think I even watched this video already. Or was it this one? No. So basically, if you have a look at that, change your understanding of topology in 6 minutes. Of course, you don't know everything about topology after watching this one, but if you already watched this one, you have at least a basic idea about what kind of geometry works and what kind of geometry does not work. And if you get your topology right on from the start, it will save you a lot of headaches in many cases, or actually it will definitely save you a lot of headaches. And yeah, I know some people might be writing now, yeah, but I've downloaded some 3D models on the internet, on sites like TurboSquid. And you know what? We all had terrible topology. We all had triangles because they were made for games, or we had a lot of n-gons in there, and stuff was really not looking right. So why should I care about topology? And I tell you why. Because it will make every step in the 3D production pipeline, like texturing, UV editing, sculpting, animating, it will make all of it easier if you know how the topology has to look like. Because there are a lot of people, we just make some really crazy topology, and when they want to animate their character, and they just don't understand why things are not working out as we intended them to work out. And that is because the topology sucks. We put in some unnecessary triangles and n-gons, and too much topology on one side, and then not enough on the other side. And yeah, that's not good. That's really not good. You have to get this sorted out at first, before you can make great models. Because if you don't know how geometry works in the software, how are you supposed to create anything? So that's really an overlooked thing. And I think there's even a video that I watched, everything about topology. Yeah, this one. I think I've been watching this one, exactly. I know that guy. Everything you need to know about topology. So if you want to get a little bit more serious with topology, because modeling and sculpting is really what you're going for, especially for modeling. Topology is important. Sculpting is another thing. Then again, do not only watch this one, which is about like 7 minutes. You can also watch this one, which is 40 minutes. So if you want to get some really deep knowledge of topology, watch this one. And yeah, let's get on to the next one. Low poly vehicles would be another thing that you could be checking out, and it's again our friend CG Geek. Yeah, so if you're into cars or automotives or whatever, or locomotives, you can make this, and it doesn't have to be a car, as you can see on this side, for instance. It can be something completely else. Like you can also make a low poly model of the train from Harry Potter. So there is this one train that is bringing all the children to Hogwarts, and you could do that. And I would even suggest that, because there are two problems with tutorials that I see all the time happening on the internet. The first problem is when people just want to make their own art. There are, for instance, already 2D artists. And 1 second. Sorry, I really had to clear my throat, so I had to mute my microphone for a sec. So there's some artists that have a 2D background, for instance, and we have some drawings, and now they're like, oh, I just have to take my drawings and make 3D art out of them, so that should be an easy job. But they never watch tutorials, because they think, oh, I'm not interested in making some donuts, who needs that? I know how the interface works and some basic modeling, that should be okay. No, that's not good. That's really not good, because if you are like that person, and you have never seen a professional workflow and some artist going step by step through things and explaining things, you will lack basic understanding of the software, or at least of the process as a whole, and you will make a lot of mistakes. May it be bad topology, may it be bad use of modifiers, may it be bad use of the tools or whatever, or just being extremely inefficient with things. Just don't do that. Don't be the guy that never watched it. Sorry, I'm stuttering. Why do I stutter? Never be the guy that never watched a tutorial. Sorry. Oh, I hate that word. It's terrible. Tutorial. It's really terrible. never be the guy that never watched a tutorial, because in that case, you will lack a lot of knowledge that you definitely will need. But also don't be the other guy who was always thinking, oh, I just have to watch this tutorial and that tutorial, and I will repeat it step by step, and that will make me a great artist. Because no, it won't. Of course, by just imitating what other people do, you will not become a great artist. You will not even become really great at the software or using the software if you're just working like that. Because I think it's really important to have your own projects, and to also learn things on the way, and sometimes have a project that challenges you, because there are parts in it where you just don't know how the hell am I going to do this? How am I going to model this? How am I going to animate this? How do I put this in the scene? How do I combine these two objects? So always also to make your own projects where you have to learn new stuff and you can incorporate the knowledge of the tutorial. So the best thing is basically watching something like that. Oh, let's create a car. But then you take your own design and you take your knowledge from the tutorial and you create something that is different than the tutorial. And now, okay, a car and a train, that's not the same, I understand. So maybe that's a little bit wild at this point, a little bit extreme. But you could take this car and you could make it slimmer, or you could put like some ventilation shafts onto the roof or something like that, or some engine that is coming out of the chassis. So on this front, you know what I mean? So you could make something like that. Take a tutorial from someone, watch it, but then take your own design, your own ideas, and put it into the tutorial that the guy has presented to you. Because I think that's the best way of learning stuff. You see a professional workflow, but you can, but you learn to be able to put in your own design ideas. So yeah, let's put it like that. I think that's really important, and probably not the best, probably not the worst way to start your 3D journey. Yeah, and then you could start with some easy sculpting skills, for instance. And again, there is Abbitt, who's making great tutorials for beginners. And you can maybe start with your own alien creature, and also creating aliens like this one on the side. That's a very good thing to start with, because if you want to get organic and make your own characters, it is much easier to start with alien creatures than to start with a human face. And you know why that is? It's pretty simple, because we are seeing humans all the time. We are seeing humans like almost every day of our life. I mean, when we go out, when we meet friends, whatever, even on the TV or internet or whatever, only really rarely in this kind of society that we have created, we are not seeing humans on a daily basis. We are seeing humans almost all the time. So we also know the features. We know how the eyebrows have to look, the head form, the head shape has to look. We know about how the colors have to look. And we have a very precise knowledge of how proportions in general have to look in a human face. So if you want to create a human character, the problem with that is that if the nose is a little bit off, or the proportions of the cheeks are off, or the eyes are too small, or maybe too big, like in manga or anime, sorry, if you have watched too much anime and the eyes are very big, we notice that straight away, because we have a very clear image of how a human face has to look. But we don't have this image when we think about an alien, because if you say alien, pretty much everyone will have a different image in their head. Some of them pretty equal to others, some maybe looking quite different than others. But when we say alien, we don't have a very clear image, or not a clear image what everyone has on their head. So if you don't get all the proportions right, or it's looking weird and the nose is weird, it doesn't matter, because it still can look convincing. So you know what I mean? Better start with aliens if you really want to start with character creation, because it is very forgiving to do that. It is very forgiving if you don't get some shapes right, because people will be like, yeah, how is this kind of alien supposed to look like anyways? So that's basically it. And even if I was creating some alien from Star Trek, for instance, yeah, some people might say, oh, that's not how a Klingon looks, or create some other aliens from other movies. And some people might be, yeah, that's not how it's supposed to look like. But if you're showing this to your grandma, for instance, and she has never watched Star Trek, and you show this to her, most likely she'll just say, if you ask her, who is that? Oh, that's an alien. And it will be a convincing alien. Except if the proportions are really extremely off, like the neck is extremely thin or extremely thick, and it looks strange overall. So it has to be convincing, of course, but start with some non-human characters, because it's much easier to get them right than to get a human face right. Okay, and now I want to start with some channels that you can check out, because yeah, watching some single tutorials, that is fine, but quite likely you want to have a channel where you can approach stuff in general, where you can approach your 3D education in general, and learn from some people that are not just doing one thing, but several things. And now I had a very big list of channels that I could actually use. My friend Daniel made this, Daniel Olavoe, or Olavoe, I don't know how it's pronounced. Sorry, Daniel. So if you're just watching this and hearing me trying to pronounce your name, sorry, I just don't know how it's pronounced. We have never really talked about it, and most of the time we're just writing on Facebook. So yeah, I hope it wasn't wrong, and yeah, just bear with me. Daniel made a big list, and I even still at the minute have not all of it figured out, because it was just too much. I didn't have the time to look into every channel that he has given to me. And also I think the purpose of this video is actually to show you some easy ways where to start and not to make things overly complex. And if I'm giving you like 20 or 30 channels now, people will be like, dude, yeah, it's great you've been showing all these channels, but just let's be honest, I'm just as confused as I have been before this video. So this wouldn't be great. So I just took a small collection of channels that I think are really great. But if you want to have more channels, or the right channel was not in there for you, I will also post Daniel's list or my own selection of his list in the comments. So yeah, there will be also channels about rigging and animation and pretty much any topic. So if you just want to check out that, you can go to the description of the video and have a look into that. Yeah, but that's just for the ones who are curious. So let's get to the next stage. And 1 second, please. Sorry, again, I had to clear my throat. As I said, my throat is pretty dry at the moment, so it makes speaking a bit difficult. Okay, and the first one that I would suggest you to check out is CG Boost. Because I know the creator of CG Boost, Zacharias, Zacharias. I've met him in person like 3 or 4 times, I think. I've even been to the Blender conference with him. We have been sleeping in one room with 2 other people that are also 3D creators. So I also know him as a person. He's a really nice guy. He's also very ambitious. And 1 second. He's very ambitious. And yeah, he has already gone a very long way, because Zacharias has been around for many years by now. And yeah, he has become a very famous person on the Blender scene, especially the German Blender scene, because his first tutorials were all in German. Yeah, and he does address a lot of topics. He is really great at sculpting, but he's also a 2D artist. So he basically has all the knowledge that he needs to make great artworks. But more than a great artist, I think Zacharias is a great person and a great teacher. So he's also been doing some workshops where he's been teaching people face-to-face, stuff like that, when he just started. And I've even attended one of these. It was a workshop about rigging. And yeah, so I can definitely suggest you to have a look at this channel, because I think this is one of the best starting points for beginners to learn here. And if you're interested, oh, I like that one. Wild West Creature, Blender time-lapse. So that's also time-lapse that you might be watching. I think I've even watched the whole time-lapse. Or not sure whether it was the whole time-lapse, but at least most of it, I think. It's actually one of my favorites of his. Yeah, with the cigar and the hat, it reminds me a little bit of my father. It's actually funny. And yeah, that would be a very good starting point. But also, if you're interested in the beginnings of Zacharias, and I still have no internet connection, isn't that great? So let's try it again. Load my channel, yes. And now I have to click on the good Dalek so he doesn't start talking. Yeah, this is a political video about German political party. If you're not German, you will probably not understand at all what this video is about. But I wanted to make a video about this one too in the future, but it will be in German. So, yeah, just very much about that. The beginnings of Zacharias were on the Gensers brothers, where he worked with his brother Vincent. Vincent is the one on the left side. And here we also have a lot of other videos, or used to have a lot of other videos. Now this one says the end of the Gensers brothers. Did he really take all the videos out there? Oh no, he didn't, okay. So yeah, if you want to see more of his work, you can check out this. And yeah, as you can see, the newer ones are also in English. So there's some in English and some in German. And if you're German, I think this is anyways the best way to start in 3D. It's probably one of the best channels to start with. And yeah, we also used to have a website. Yeah, it's been really nice actually, because I did some translations for that. But now enough about me. I just wanted to show you some things where you can start. And when I talk about website, we also have a website, which is the CG Boost website. You just have to Google for that and you will very easily find it, cgboost.com. Yeah, the problem now, as you can see, is yeah, these things to actually cost some money. Most videos on YouTube do not cost you money, so why should you spend any money on that? 1 second. Okay, there are basically 2 reasons. The first one is, it would be really nice to support the artists, because people like Zacharias really have helped rise the art community, or the Blender community. So it would be really nice to give some money back to him, because he only can put out all this content if he does this on a daily basis and as a full-time job. And of course he needs to get paid as well. So basically, if you're buying a course from him, that really helps support the Blender community, or at least the CG Boost company and Zacharias. And if nobody buys the products, we cannot make great content for us. And when we don't make great content for us, yeah, that's just a shame for us. So that would be point one, to support the artist. And then there's point 2, which is also important, because this is a professional course, for instance, here with his creature. And a lot of time has went into it. Zacharias is a professional, so he knows what he is doing. He will get the topology right. He will use the correct workflow. He will show you fast ways to make things, which is also important, because work speed is one thing that has to be considered, or that definitely has to be considered. And if you buy a workshop like this, you will get a product from A to Z, where you see all the steps of a creation. It will be professional steps. The recording quality will be great. The microphone will be great. It will be edited. So it's basically much better content than the average video that you would see on YouTube. So that is why you should buy at least 1 or 2 professional courses. And then, yeah, they're simply much more complex, because these courses, I've bought courses that were like 20 or 30 hours of education. And yeah, most people on YouTube, they're just like, oh, let's make one tutorial about this or one about that. And when the tutorial is about like 5 or 10 minutes long or so, and you're always seeing the same techniques, and you will be procrastinating a lot. So yeah, just go out and buy 1 or 2 of the workshops. This one is, for instance, really nice, or 3D environments is really nice. I think a lot of people can really make use of that one, especially. And yeah, get a professional course, have a look at that, and just see how a professional would do it. Because I don't want to talk badly about the YouTubers. I'm a small YouTuber myself. I mean, my Facebook group has 20,000 members, but my YouTube channel just has 50 members, because what I'm doing just makes so much more sense on Facebook, where you can write much more messages and post images, and etc. So I don't want to talk badly about the small YouTubers, but let's be honest, maybe 1% or less of the content on YouTube is up to the standards that professional courses are up to. So yeah, just think about that, and if you have a buck to spend, you can spend it on that. But you could also, theoretically, if you edit, you could also go to the Blender page. And, oops, where's what? And, sorry, just let me have a look. We changed the website so often. It's a little bit, sometimes a little bit confusing. Okay, jobs store. Yeah, you can get a subscription to the Blender site, to blender.org. And then we have a store here, and we have a lot of content that you can get for free, like videos. But you can also buy some books, for instance, or you can buy some DVDs with the movies of a Blender Foundation on there, or you can even buy some t-shirts or whatever. So this is also another thing that would be really nice. Oh, default cube t-shirt. You can already see in this image that a lot of work has went into the creative and hard artwork that you can see on this t-shirt. Okay, this is really nerdy. Import BPY. So this is a programmer thing. But I think I had 2 or so of these shirts, one blue one, one black one. I've lost the blue one, but I still have the black one. Yeah, obviously these socks are also really cool. I mean, with a UV grid. So if you want to support the Blender Foundation, you can also do that and maybe buy a hat. I even got a hat like that, but mine is in a very bright brown gray tone, something like that. Yeah, okay, that's another thing. But let's not dwell too much from the main content. We're already at 50 minutes. So sorry for not keeping it short enough, but there's just so much I want to say about the topic. But I think if you just watch this video and get a basic idea of what to do, you've already saved a lot of time. You might be spending 1 hour on watching this video, but overall, if you have to look for all the stuff yourself and find out things yourself, like I had to do when I started with Blender, it will take much longer than that. Because you also have to imagine when I started using Blender, when I was typing in Blender tutorial on YouTube, it was literally showing me videos how to blend pineapples with bananas and apples and make a smoothie. So a Blender tutorial was not a 3D thing, it was like a kitchen Blender tutorial. So that was in 2010, I think, when I started with some Blender work, some really easy stuff, some basic stuff. It was googling for Blender tutorials. Yeah, that's basically how it was. So things have definitely changed over the last 10 years. I can assure you that. The next one is CG Masters, who also make very great content. But this is a little bit more for the intermediate to pro users who want to get some professional knowledge. Also, this car creation series is really awesome because there are so many complex forms in it. And I've watched some reviews from people in the industry that are working in Hollywood, and even Hollywood professionals said, "Oh, this is such a great," and sorry, I'm missing the word at the moment. This is such a great course that we're having there. But even I, as a professional, have learned this or that from this course, so definitely a thing to recommend. And yeah, I also would recommend CG Masters in general. They're also around for a very long time already. We started with Lee Salvimini and Chris Plush, and yeah, now it's Chris Plush and AD Burrows. And I've met the two, or I've talked to Chris 2 or 3 times, and I've met AD in person in Amsterdam at the Blender conference. So they're really nice guys, and they're making some really professional stuff here, some really neat modeling, but also some low poly stuff. We also talk about textures. So that's another thing that you want to consider. Oh, and if you're into textures, you should type in one thing, which is Blender 3D Pbr. Whoops. Workflow. And you should learn about Pbr textures because, yeah, the beginners usually just make diffuse textures. We don't use bump maps or normal maps, which is better, or displacement maps even, and we also don't use specular maps or reflection maps or metalness maps. And yeah, you just have to use several channels to work with materials. And just Google for Pbr materials, or Yeah, Pbr materials, I think, might be even better. Whoops. Yeah, and if you have figured out your texturing skills, will be so much better, even if you aren't, but if you're using some Pbr textures. Even a very low poly model and a poor model can look really awesome, because just the textures are so awesome. Yeah, and this is the G Masters, as I said. Yeah, you can also buy some courses here, like this one. I think they're also the same price range, like on CG Boost. It's probably like, oh, it's even much cheaper. Okay, it's $14.99. That's almost a steal. I mean, that's quite a bargain. It's $15. It should be around 12 euros. So, if you want to get into modeling really fast, this is also a course that you might be checking out. But it's just a recommendation. You can, of course, also learn on YouTube. I know some of you people simply don't have the money, because I know that about, was it 12 or 15? Something like that. Let's just say 15. 15 of the people are from Nigeria, I think, and in total, like 25% of the group, I think, are African people. So we have a lot of African people, and as you all know, in Africa, there are a lot of shitholes, without insulting the people living there, but there are a lot of countries or also cities that are really poor with high crime and so on. And if I say to these people, yeah, just buy a course for 15 euro, they would probably say, 15 euro, that's what I get in a week. Bro, sorry, I cannot do that. Please point me to something that is for free, because I couldn't afford it, even if I wanted to. Yeah, so you might be buying this one. It's a nice one, but again, if you don't have money, you can also go to YouTube, and by now there are also many channels that make really great content that is for free. But then again, as already said, you should always think about giving something back to the community. And yeah, I think that spending some buck here and there is not too bad. I mean, if you think about the prices of 3D software like Autodesk Maya, which is like really insane, where you pay like 2,000 euro or so a year for the subscription model, or I think if you get Cinema 4D with all of its plugins, I think the producer version is like 5,000 euros. Just think about all the money that you already save by not buying one of these products, but working with Blender instead. So just think about all the money that you've already saved on the 3D software. So when you think about that money, 15 euro or 20 euro here and there won't seem to be that much. So yeah, that's another thing. And let's get through the list. Channels. Polyfjord's also a great one. He's making very cool looking things, I would say. And he's also making like these creatures here, a tutorial making a mechanical creature in Blender. So if you're already a little bit intermediate and you've already learned all the things that I told you to learn and had a look at all the artworks and so on, and you're familiar with the interface, you can start doing stuff like that, where you make your own creatures and animate them a little bit. And I think if you make it to this point, if you're eager enough and concentrated and focused enough to make it to this point, and you've already made your own mechanical spider or whatever, I think at this point you can already be pretty proud of you, because I've seen a lot of people starting with 3D and not everyone sticks to it, just as not everyone is becoming a professional footballer just because he started to play football in kindergarten. And yeah, if you make it to this point, you can clap yourself on your shoulder and congratulate yourself, because I would say that at least 80, if not 90 or 95% of the people who start 3D will never make it to this point. So you should also celebrate your own efforts and your own results. And yeah, if you have already reached a plateau like that, it means you have a good basic understanding of things. And if you can deliver that standard of quality that you see in this image, you even have a shot at getting some jobs in the industry. Of course, not the best paid jobs, but this is already decent, and some smaller companies that just need some pretty generalist people. If you can do that, we will probably say, okay, you're hired for the coming weeks, and if you're doing well in the job, you can probably work for us from there on. Okay. So this is also quite Abbitt, as I already as already mentioned. This one's not bad. Blender Made Easy. You might have a look into that. Yeah, but it's also, as you can see, it's only some intermediate stuff. So these things are already stuff that I would usually show to people that are in the software for a couple of weeks, so that we're familiar and comfortable with everything in the software. Yeah, and then of course there's a Blender Guru. I don't think he's the best first address to learn about Blender, but still I think he's a competent guy in making his videos, and he also has some products that he's selling. And let's have a look at this guy. Yeah, he has his own site. 1 second. It's called Polygon. 1 sec. There are just too many polygons here. Polygon and draw price. Yes. Polygon, textures, models. Yeah. So this is also a site that you, a website, a space that you might want to check out, because, yeah, there are some assets that you can download. But the most important thing is that there are some HDRIs over here, and even more important, some textures that you can have. And yeah, if you need some formats for your projects, you usually will find pretty much anything that you're looking for. So there are a lot of wood types, not a lot of stone and concrete, and textures for leaves, and textures for the bark of trees, and textures for grass, and textures for the ground, and metal textures. So there's so much stuff going on here. I think you will be really happy with what you can find here, especially at the start. Oh, how can I exit this one? Help, I want to exit. Oh, escape doesn't work. Why can I not exit this one? This is weird. Why can I not exit this window? Let me reload the page. This is really strange. Yeah, so this is one thing. And also, when you're already experienced, there are also some other places where I might go. Textures.com, for instance. So I think pretty much like 40% of the textures that you see in movies or video games, I think like 30 or 40% of the textures are from textures.com. So that's another thing. And then there's also, of course, HDRI Haven. Yeah, and this is also a very great space where you can get some textures. Or a great... Why do I always say space? I'm trying to make my English German. So that's a bit weird. So this is a good place to start with. If you need some HDRIs for some HDR lighting, but be warned, you need a very good graphics card for that and very high processing power for 16K HDRIs. But yeah, if you're already at the point of rendering, this is interesting, the textures are interesting. And yeah, I also want to get a shout out to the team, because some of these people are actually my friends on Facebook, or well, at least 2 of them. So Rico Sillier and Greg Saal. And I even met Greg in person, because he's from South Africa, and so of course he has Dutch roots, as you can see. Yeah, and he's been coming to Germany, and he's been visiting me, because we have been talking a little bit at the Blender conference. And when he was like, oh, a friend of mine who is a friend of yours also, so a mutual friend of us, said, oh yeah, you know what, I'm in the city today, and someone told me for you it's just like 2 kilometers from where on. Do you mind if we make a nice day today and go to some museums and check some stuff out, and I'm taking some pictures. And yeah, we were actually doing that, so I was accompanying him. And yeah, we had a great day, drank a beer in the evening, and then said goodbye to each other. And I think we spent like 3 or 4 hours together, and he's a really nice guy. So that's also why I'm showing the page. I mean, I know all these people, and first of all, I think they're a good place to start with and a good place to be recommended, but I also recommend them just because I know them personally. And as you can imagine, I really want to help them grow their audience, grow their businesses. So yeah, Polyhaven definitely a good place to start with. And yeah, it would be really nice if you support these people and maybe buy also some of their products. And the funny thing is, he made some Greg made some pictures. I think he took like 30 pictures on a tripod for every HDRI. So basically every HDRI that you're getting here is like 20, 30 or even 40 pictures that are stitched together with a special software that he's using. And yeah, he took was it 2 or 3 HDRIs in my city where I was living at that moment. And yeah, if you watch through the HDRIs and you're really closely paying close attention, there is one HDRI at least, I think it's even 2. There's one HDRI where you can see me, where you can spot me. So yeah, if you find the one HDRI that he made in my city, and you can spot where I'm sitting in this HDRI, and you flag me as the right person, that would be really funny, but it would be hard to find also because I'm pretty much in the background, or I'm pretty small on the HDRI, so I'm not easy to see. But if you download that and you see me, you can write me on YouTube or Facebook or whatever. It would be pretty funny if someone of you discovers me in the HDRI. So okay, good. We're drifting apart from the whole thing. Polyfjord, Grand Abbitt, yes. Blender made easy. Yeah, and the Blender grew. Okay. So this is basic starting point. As I said, I will put more in the video description, but I think this is already a good place to start. But also don't be disappointed. It's getting pretty late and I have to get up very early tomorrow for work. So I will not be able to put all these links and all the other stuff that I wanted to put in the video description today. So I won't be doing that today. I just don't have the time. I will do it tomorrow probably. But I will put it in there. So if you're not watching this video on the day it's coming out, which is the 12th of October, as you can see. In Germany we have it the other way around. So if you're American, you might be thinking, oh, it's December already, and the 10th of December and 2022. No, it's and I think in all of Europe we're actually switching that. So first one is date, then month, then year. So you're going chronological from smallest one to biggest one. Here is much bigger than a day. Yeah, and where am I going? Sorry if I talk for a very long time. I sometimes start to get tired or dizzy or confused or whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much about it at this point. So I hope you were enjoying that, and I hope that you have a general overlook. And as I said, if you want to get into details, you can check out the video description. And now just let me address some other thoughts that are not really about Blender in general, but some things that you might consider, I think. So, if you're going to ArtStation, for instance, and ArtStation is another thing I will show in a minute or so, you will always see these great people doing great work, or in animation movies, maybe from Pixar or from DreamWorks or from other studios that are well known, like Sony. Sony also makes a lot of 3D animated movies. You always only see a small thing of that movie, a small thing of what is behind that movie. So basically you're seeing the tip of the iceberg. So that's what you're seeing. And things are working, things are cool. What you're seeing is the success that is working. But what you don't see is the other 90% of the iceberg that are underneath the water. And that is pretty much everything that is listed in this picture. It's hard work, persistence, discipline, courage, maybe also risks that you're taking that are always behind good work, and also it's good habits. And good habits is a very important thing, because it is good, for instance, to have a very clear time where you say, okay, every evening between 17 and 19, for 2 hours I will be working on my portfolio, for instance. Because if you say, yeah, I will be working 2 hours this day, but I will work when I want to work, that's not good, because that will very often lead to procrastination, where people say, okay, let's do this or let's do that, but I just have to play this game, or a friend invited me, or this or that. And yeah, if you're getting distracted too often, that's definitely not good. So if you have a habit of working at a specific time that you set for every day, that's a very good thing, because only like that you can ensure that you will progress continually and you will not procrastinate, because that's exactly what I've been doing for many years now, where I do some stuff and I say, yeah, I can do it today, and then, oh no, I'm too tired, or oh, I have to get up for work, or okay, good. If you want to go to bed because you have to work the next day, that's excusable. But if you're just too tired or too lazy or what, that's of course not good. Yeah, and that's also some stuff you have to think about. That behind every artwork there is so much more that you don't see, and these are all the things that you have to accomplish. It's not just drawing the painting. It's not just modeling the objects. It's getting the knowledge. It's getting the focus, it's getting the speed to do things in a time where you will also be accepted in the industry, because that's another problem of mine. I'm just too slow. I can do a lot in 3D, but I'm just fucking slow. And what other people could do in a day, it takes me a week. So that's also not good. So you have to work on that, work on your speed, and also stay focused. I think that's a very important thing. And also, as we're talking about art, there's always passion. If you don't have passion, it will be hard. You have to have the right mindset to actually work correctly, or to work efficiently in any industry. But with art even more, because creating art is not always as fun as watching art or having a look at a painting, because there's also blood, sweat and tears behind every great work. Even it's something like art. So passion is always an important thing, and honesty also, but not so much the kind of honesty towards other people, but honesty towards yourself. Am I good? Can I work in the industry? Is this good enough, or should I put it to a new level? Yeah, and that's all the things that you have to consider. So becoming a great artist is not just watching YouTube tutorials, it's not just buying courses, it's not even executing these courses, it's not even taking your own projects and executing these courses. So, but it's much more. It's a lot of hard work and a lot of time where things might not work. And even the great studios like DreamWorks, if you watch Merida, 1 second. If you're watching Merida, it's from DreamWorks. It's about this girl basically who acts a little bit like a boy and doesn't want to be a princess. Even these people at PIXXO, they got nightmares, they got grey hair and tore out some of her hair when we had to do this hair. Because if you watch that, it's some really crazy hair that was going on there, and also some really crazy hair animations going on there. And even for professionals that have been working in the industry for 20 or 30 years, with these expensive and big movies, there always come things that will be new, and for every Pixar movie, we always had to create new code. We always had to create new tools for the software so that we could actually accomplish what we want to do. And yeah, these are all professionals. And even the professionals, yeah, we have some moments where we are extremely frustrated because we think this will never work, this will never work out, this is so much hard work, oh, we have to start again, I'm so down, so unmotivated now. Even they have this very often, these moments where we are super unmotivated, super frustrated. But the difference between these people and people who fail is, or one of the difference between these people and people who fail simply is that they are pushing on. They don't give up. They don't say, oh, this is too hard, I cannot do it, so let's not do it at all. But they are finding ways to do things. And yeah, this is what I've been talking about here. So it's a lot of frustration also that goes into these things. And maybe The water around this iceberg, maybe it's not even water, maybe it's just tears. It's a sea of tears, and when you have this iceberg on top, and this is the great lake of tears that you have to overcome to make something that is really awesome. And yeah, that's just another thing I wanted to mention, because people too often not think about the psychological things behind art, the good habits that you have to create, but also the good habits in talking to yourself, like respecting yourself and thinking about your health and so on, because that's also important. So always think about these things too. If your passion, motivation, good habits, persistence, discipline, if it's all not good, you should work on that first, because if you know you have no discipline, or you have a very bad discipline, you should fix that first, because without that you cannot be a great artist. And if you fix that, that's really great, because discipline will always help you in everything in life. So yeah, basically this all has to be set in order, this all has to work out before this can be reached, the pinnacle of success. Yeah, and I don't mean the success of having followed through a tutorial, but the success of yeah, creating something really cool. And I've actually been creating a short 3D movie for the last year, but I have not been working on it for the last 7 months, or only very rarely at it. So this is actually what's keeping me down. It's not that I'm not a talented person, that I'm not talented as a person. It's not that I don't have the knowledge. It's just that I have problems with being rejected by other people, but also my discipline. And yeah, you have to get this straight. I don't tell you this as a professional artist. I tell you this as a person who always struggled with these things going on here. And yeah, you have to fix this. You really have to fix this. I really have to work on my discipline in general. Because if I don't do that, this is not an option. This here is not an option if you don't do that. Yeah, and as already said, you should always focus, stay motivated, dedicated, and you shouldn't find too many excuses. That's also another thing that the Blender Guru Andrew Price has been talking about when he was talking about success in the art industry too. Because there was one example that I also want to mention. It's about J.K. Rowling, or Rowling, I think. J.K. Rowling, who's the author of the Harry Potter books. She did not always say, oh, I don't have any time now. I could only work for 50 minutes, but then I have to leave and I have to go there and meet a person, or I have to go to work, or this or that. If you're always waiting for the perfect time to start something, if you're always waiting for a perfect spot, and the spot might even occur on a regular basis, like it happens on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I mean, it's great that you can work 3 times a week, but if you're always waiting for these times where everything is perfect and yeah, nothing is distracting you, you will not come very, very far. Because J.K. Rowling, when she was writing the Harry Potter books, she was also nurturing 2 little children, and she had to take care about them. And sometimes she just had like 5 minutes to write in her book, or 10 minutes, but she used that time. She took the time that she had and put it into practice. And if you're always waiting for the perfect time to come, if you're not lucky, I will never come. So again, if you're always having these excuses, oh, I can do this for this or that reason, I don't have time, I don't know how to do that, how do I start, I don't have a clear idea, that's not good. That's really not good. It's not good in general in life, but especially in art. If you're that person that doesn't switch off that button here, and your excuses button is still on green, that's not good. You will just create very simple stuff, for instance, or you might create some cool stuff, but it will take you 2 times, 3 times, 4 times the time amount than it would if you turn this one off. This one have to be turned off. Excuses are not a good thing to grow as a person. And again, I more know this from the negative side than the positive side. So don't do that. Don't do this mistake. I've been doing that for a very long time in my life with a lot of things, not only 3D art. And putting this one on green, putting the excuses button to green, that is a terrible thing that you can make. So always put this one off. This one is not going to help you any further. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have an excuse, sometimes there's an accident, sometimes you don't have time, sometimes something shitty happened. I don't say that you never have excuses in life, or excuses are always a bad thing, because excuses also help us sometimes to understand people better or situations better. They are not wrong in themselves. Excuses are not a super bad thing, but excuses are a thing that will very likely hold you back, and they will not help you as much as they will hinder you from things in life. Okay, good. Now I don't want to be the Uber teacher, or however you want to call that, but also had to be said, because motivation is just a thing that has to be talked about when we are talking art. So yeah, that's the next thing. And then this will probably be the last thing that I will address. Or no, the last thing will be ArtStation. Before I forget it, ArtStation will be the last thing that I address. But this is another thing. It's such a noob thing and a beginner thing to do. But in general on the internet, no matter what you're doing, instead of owning your own skills, your art skills, working on your modeling skills, working on your topology understanding, instead of reading books that are helpful for you, and if someone of you is interested in reading books, I could also link some books in the video description. Yeah, instead of doing that and working on you as a person, a lot of people think that they can go an easy route, an easy way, of just buying the best hardware, and we seem to have this idea in their head that if they buy the most awesome PC, they will be great artists, and that's not correct. A better PC or a great PC will not make you a great artist. A great artist who's working on this PC will create much better stuff than some amateur dude who creates some low poly stuff or some really basic stuff, and he gets this machine. Okay, this machine will render faster and it will work faster. Okay, but if you don't have the creative ideas and the knowledge of the software, if your working speed is very slow and so on, I would definitely prefer a work from a professional artist who's using this one than from a very bad artist who's using this one. So basically a very average PC should be sufficient, and if you click on this, it's not really like hardware as an excuse anymore. I mean, if you think about the first Pixar movies, I think the first Toy Story movie, it was rendered on a PC that had I think like 384 megabytes of RAM, and that was a lot for the time, but today it's just, yeah, it's not even half a gigabyte. It's kind of ridiculous if you think about that, but we were working on it and could still create some awesome stuff, and now we have 16 gigabytes of RAM, a 6-core processor, and of course this is not a super machine. I mean, you need an awesome graphics card also if you want to be a professional, and you might want to have a bigger SSD or an HDD that has a lot of space for all your textures and so on. I get that, of course, a fast machine is better than a slow machine, but to be honest, the PC I was starting with, it had 2 gigabytes of RAM, and I was running Windows 7 on it, so it felt like the operating system already took like 60% of the resources, and I still had no problem learning to model and some easy animation and how to apply textures and how to get materials right. So this is a 500 euro PC, but it's so much better than what I started with. So again, if you think that this one is not good enough for you, you are not at a good point, because then you are at this point again. Yeah. I mean, if your laptop is really shitty and it has like 1 gigabyte of RAM and you're still running on Windows XP or something like that, or it crashes all the time because you have an HDD problem or the software is really crappy or whatever, okay, if it's really as terrible as that, okay, I'm with you. You cannot really work with that. Okay, I'm with you there. I have to admit that. But normally, if you have anything just like that one, so any machine that can halfway decently run a game in 3D that is not super old. So if you can play some simple 3D games on your PC, you actually should be having a machine that is more than good enough to learn 3D. And yeah, just work on your own skills, work on your own sets. And even if you don't have that, even if you're just having a smartphone, you can still watch tutorials or read some books or whatever. So basically, to become a better artist, you don't have to have the PC. I mean, the PC is just the tool in the end. And the way people are talking about their PCs and how much RAM they have and what graphics card and so on, it's kind of ridiculous if you think about it, because it's like artists who do not paint. They never paint, but they buy the best brushes, and then they are comparing their brushes together, like, oh, look at this horsehair brush, it's so awesome. And then the next one comes and says, oh, horsehair, that's nothing. Look at this brush, it's made of badger hair, isn't that cool? And then the next one comes along and says, oh, my brush is made out of human hair. I got it shaved off my back, something like that, you know? It's yeah, I know I'm being funny today. Yeah, it's something like that. It would be really strange. I mean, if you are watching artists and they are discussing about their brushes, but they're not painting, it doesn't even make sense if you think about it. It just doesn't even make sense after all. And don't be like that. Don't find the excuse that you cannot work because you don't have a high-end gaming PC. You don't need it. You just don't need it. Even if you just have an average laptop, like even I think something like that, like Samsung Notebook Plus, even that should be good enough to start with. I mean, okay, it has 4 GB of RAM, I think, yeah. 4 GB of RAM is not awesome. You don't have to explain that to me, but it's still more than decent enough to watch tutorials and learn some basic modeling and make a low poly scene, as I've shown to you. So even that one should be fine. And when I have a look at this one and open the link, I mean, this is actually really good. I mean, you get a hexa-core processor, so it has 6 cores, ample amount of RAM, SSD storage is okay, even a strong graphics card, which has dedicated memory to it, 6 GB of memory to it. If you have something like that, and I know that, okay, the people in Nigeria do usually not have such a PC from MSI, I know that, but I know that at least 2/3 of the group, 2/3 of the people in the group, they have a PC or laptop or whatever that is comparable to this one, or even better. I think there are some people in the group, we have PCs that are like 4,000 or 5,000 euro. So I've seen some comments where people were bragging about their Kreuter graphics cards from Nvidia or their FirePro graphics cards from AMD and their Intel Xeon processors. And if I just make a quick roundup how much money that is, in the group there are some people that have really, really expensive tools to work with. So yeah, please don't start these conversations like, oh, my PC is shit, so I cannot be a good artist, because that's really holding you back. And when you're again in this realm, and this is not helping, this is really not helping. And actually, I've even talked to some professional animators about this topic, and that a stop motion animation course that I was attending, and there was a stop motion artist. He was already like 70, 75, something like that, so he was an old man, basically. And he also said exactly that. He said all the time he's listening to people who are talking about their hardware and discussing their hardware. And yeah, he also just said, yeah, if that's what you're talking about all the time, but not your artistic skill, this is not getting you anywhere. So I just wanted to put this into this video, because also this hardware question, oh, which PC should I buy, which graphics card should I buy, can I make simple models like 2K poly models with my with my graphics card. We live in the year of 2022, and basically there is no bad graphics card anymore that is recent. So every graphics card that is coming out now or later will be decent enough for 3D work, even if it's just an integrated graphics card like the Intel HD 630 or something like that. That's not awesome graphics, but it is good enough to at least start with what you're doing. And if you can't do it with that kind of hardware, chances are you cannot do it in general. So please don't blame it always on the hardware, because that is not taking you anywhere. It's just really, really bad. So that's also another thing that we can talk about here. That's not a good habit, it's really a bad habit, and many people tend to do that. So establish a good mindset and good habits, and don't go this way of always blaming it on hardware and whatever. Yeah, and that's pretty much about it in this video. I hope I could give you some general guidelines, where to start, what things are important, and also maybe what things are not so important, like the hardware I've just talked about. And if you just need some inspiration because you're thinking, okay, now I have like a basic way where I know how to go. Yeah, and you're just thinking, okay, that's all great now, and I have had a look at the interface and made some basic courses, but I still don't know what to create, or I'm not a great artist, I need some inspiration. If that is the case, it's one great page that you might want to check out, but of course only if you have internet. It's terrible. I've been playing online games like Age of Empires pretty often lately. And you can imagine when you're in a team game and in the middle of the game the connection breaks. That's just painful. That's just really painful. Sometimes the game just stops and you can rejoin after a certain time. Sometimes you get thrown out, and this is just a really frustrating thing. So yeah, whatever. Good. So ArtStation is probably the best place for inspiration, and also the best place to have a look at awesome art. But it can also be an intimidating place, and a place that is also causing some pain. Because, yeah, as you can see, there's always great art on the cover of ArtStation. And also some new stuff, so it's not every day the same. We always update this. And it's really great to have a look at this here, and have a look at skilled artists who are doing their best and pulling off some awesome anatomy and whatever. Oh, and if you want to get into characters, anatomy is of course also important, but I think most of you should already know that. Yeah, and if you need some inspiration, you can always go to ArtStation and maybe also search for something that you're interested in. Let's say you want to create a steampunk robot, for instance. Yeah, and you will always get great results. I mean, there's pretty much no result here that is bad, or that I would say is bad. Yeah, just bear with it, because there are two things that are a little bit dangerous on ArtStation. Thing A would be it can get you addicted. You can spend hours and hours on ArtStation and watch awesome artworks, but you don't work yourself on artworks. That's problematic. So you can literally get addicted to ArtStation. I know artist people who have a miserable personal life, or maybe not miserable personal life, but who take a lot of hours from their personal life, hours that they would usually spend with their family, their wife, their children, whatever. We spend a lot of time on ArtStation because we just cannot get enough of watching all these images, and their personal life suffers a little bit from that. So that's one thing, and the next thing would be, when you see all these great artworks, that you develop a mindset of watching at these things and thinking, oh my good lord, I will never be as good as that, it's so frustrating, my art just sucks, I'm fed up with this shit and I will quit it. And Yeah, that's the next thing. So don't be discouraged. Always think about that what you're seeing here is this. It's the success part of the art. And I'm pretty sure that this artist here, he has at least 10 years of artistic background. And I'm pretty sure he's not just modeling stuff, he also has a 2D background. Because I'm very convinced this is his own design that he's doing here. And there's most likely some concept art that he has created for that also. Yeah, he put an engine to the arm. I've already seen that. It's a V8 engine with 8 cylinders fixed to the arm. It's not the coolest concept ever of a steampunk robot I've seen, but this is not too bad. I just don't like this clock at the head. He could have had some clock with a chain, you know, that's maybe hanging on the side here so that he can look. And I think he could have needed some more gears and some more some more steam pipes, so that he also looks steam powered. And also this gear here is looking too futuristic. So this is not a perfect example of steampunk. I think it's actually a mix of steampunk and some cyberpunk elements into it. Yeah, but I didn't Google that before, so I didn't prepare this. I just wanted to show you that ArtStation is a good place for you to get inspiration. And that there are always awesome people around here. And the great thing is on YouTube, if you write to YouTubers on YouTube, it's pretty likely that you will not get a lot of help, or that your comment is even not read by other people. So if you want to get some help and someone has already made exactly what you want to create, like you want to create a steampunk robot that is like 90% this one, just with a little bit of a personal touch of yours. The great thing is that always you can contact people here and say, hey buddy, I've seen your artwork, it's really, really cool and inspiring, I want to do something like this. Can you maybe help me on the process, or I have some problems, I want to make a tire like that, or I want to combine the engine to the arm. Can you point me out to a good tutorial where I can learn how to do that? And on ArtStation, most people are pretty open and friendly. And if you contact them and first of all, flatter them, of course, a little bit by saying them, oh, your work is so great and you're such a great artist. If you're doing that, it's very unlikely that people will not respond to you and not point you out to a good tutorial or a good website or whatever where you can learn that skill. And also, if you finished a project and you come back to the artist and say, hey buddy, I've now finished my own robot, what do you think about it? I tried to make it as you did, with my own personal touch. You also very likely get critique on that, and I think it's always important to get art critique from artists who are better than you, because you will only learn from people who are better than you. People who don't have a clue, they will not help you a lot. They might say, okay, I like this or that, and they might work as a test audience for you, but they are not the people that can guide you to being a better artist or designer. Yeah, but ArtStation is a good place. You can meet people, you can get inspiration, you can get exchange, you can get art critique. It's really helpful. So it's really more than just yeah, watching some artworks. And we also have here several other things that you have on this side. So there's also this learning space. There are also some tutorials, or I think even books on here. I'm not quite sure, I never bought anything from ArtStation, but I think they even have some books that they sell. I think it's on a marketplace. Change to euro, yes please. And yeah, you also have some great add-ons and so on for Blender that are around here. Yeah, so that's really good. Really interesting. And it's getting so late and I still haven't eaten my dinner and I still have to shower and I still have to go to bed, and tomorrow I have to get up at 5 in the morning. This will be a short night, I think. But, okay, that's my problem now. It's not your problem. Oh, someone is playing a game. I think I have to join in this game and waste another 2 hours. Sorry, I'm just getting a little bit tired. I think you can realize that here. Yeah, so that's another thing. And yeah, there's also challenges. And challenges is the next thing that is nice. Because there's also... on Facebook, there's the CG Challenge or CG Boost Challenge, it is now called. It was once called CG Challenge and now it's CG Boost Challenge. And there's also Sculpt January and Sculptober, I think, so it's 2 months, where you're challenged to make an artwork every day. And yeah, that's also a nice thing to learn software, because I've seen some people that started the challenge, and the first 2 or 3 days people were always mocking them and making fun of them. Oh, your artwork looks so newbie, why do you even join this challenge? You should learn the basics at first. And I've seen people joining in there and yeah, we pretty much had no knowledge when we were starting. Pretty much had no knowledge. And after 12, 15, 20 days, they were starting to create stuff where I would say I cannot do it any better. And then at the end of the month, we were creating some stuff that still was not professional, but really, really good. So yeah, I've seen that. Some people who really took the challenge and spent 2, 3 or 4 hours every day for a whole month on the software and doing all the same. And I think doing all the same is not that bad, because if you get more repetition, it sticks much better to your brain, and you will have the knowledge much longer. And I think working on one thing excessively is often better than trying to do this and that and this and that, and always just touching the surface of things. So yeah, challenges are also a thing you might be thinking about. And as I said, there are people where I've seen the progress over 1 month, and it was just insane. So really left me with an open jaw, with an open mouth, seeing how much an average person with no art background and no great talent in art could really create awesome stuff after just 1 month. So if you have enough patience and persistence, after 1 month you can theoretically already sculpt really cool stuff. You just need some persistence and the time for it, and yeah, also of course some talent, but I think hard work is much more important than talent. Yeah, okie dokie. And again, of course, he's making a girl. But it's kind of a thing with these guys on the internet. They are making great houses and technical devices and great cars. And of course, these people also have a great wife or girlfriend or even naked girlfriend. Yeah, but the only problem of the 3D artist is that none of this is real. It's all just on a PC. But it doesn't matter. They have their sports car, they have their great model girlfriend, they have their big mansion house. They also have their own weapons if some bad people come, so that they can defend their mansion and their girlfriend from the bad people. Yeah, the only downside is with the artist. It's always on their mind, and they might project it on a screen or on a canvas, but they don't have it in real life. In fact, people who are watching movies or playing video games, believe me, they are much different from the average people that are creating video games or creating movies. But that's the nice thing about being artists, you can have everything, as long as you're okay with it. But it's not real. But I mean, after all, getting a little bit philosophical now, where is the realm or the border of what's real and what's not real? And I mean, ideas, music, artwork, even ideas themselves. You might not touch them, but they are a real thing. So, yeah, who cares if you have it in your mind or in real life? Yeah, I just took a ride on a sports car just a couple of hours ago before I started this video. Just imagining how this would be, or flying in a plane. And sometimes to me, imagining things actually feels much more real than actually having things or doing things. It's a little bit weird, and I think I stopped talking about at this point before people make a complex psychological profile or anything of me. But this is just how I experience things. I wonder why this one is blocked, because actually I cannot... Is she naked? Because it does look like she's wearing some underpants. But I think I don't better click on it, because if it's really mature content, the problem is that I would have to edit the video and blur out the image. And to be honest with you, I'm just too damn lazy to do that, because I had to reset my whole PC just 2 weeks ago. And I still have not installed all the Adobe products and Substance Painter and whatever. And to be honest, I don't want to install these programs so I can edit the video. This is also why I made this cheap trick of having the music in the background. Because yeah, I'm just too freaking lazy to edit the whole video again. Because that would be another 1 hour of editing time at least. And yeah, then another 1 to 2 hours of rendering it out, and it's just 3 more hours that I've spent with this video. And it's not that I don't care about you as an audience, but really it's... no, I don't want to do that. As long as my YouTube channel only has 50 subscribers and I get like 50 views on average. Sorry guys, but this is not enough motivation for me to put so much time and effort into it. Yeah, and when talking about effort and even more important time, I think the time has come to actually end this video, because I don't want to put too much in this video. If it's getting too much, it's just really confusing people, and the idea of this video, as I already said, is to show you guys where to start, to get a clear image and get some focus. And again, do the kiss and keep it short and simple. If I would talk on for another 2 or 3 hours, and believe me, I could easily do that. It's just confusing, it's not helpful at all. And I think if you just check out these channels, and before that you check out all these principles, like get some art reviews and learn how animation works. This is also not bad. This is, I think his name is Jaln, I think, something like that. Hjalti, yeah, not Jaln, Hjalti Hjalmarsson. He also made a talk at the Blender conference, and I've actually been there. This is from 2017. I've actually been there in the audience. Let's have a look. Maybe you can even see me in the audience. No, it looks like we only recorded him. 1 sec. If I see myself, I will tell you how I am.
Like an acting exercise. Okay, next up. I don't have a lot of time.
Okay, this is the first row. I think I was in the 5th or 6th row, so, and I was in the right side, so basically I would be somewhere around here out of the screen. Somewhere like this row, but whoop, down to the screen. Yeah, you can also watch this one. But yeah, just to recap things, not to confuse people, you can check out CG Boost after all that I told you. CG Masters, you might think about getting a professional workshop, because they're simply better. Like this one for modeling, or this one for sculpting with this creature with this glowing fur. Yeah, check out the general challenge. Channels. Oh, my good lord. Talking is difficult today. Check out this stuff, and yeah, I think if you've watched this through and got a basic understanding and have seen some sweet arts, I think you're on a good track. And yeah, also make your low poly animals, as I already told you, like, no, not that one, that's sculpted. Yeah, make some low poly scenes, make some low poly animals. And I think when you're at this point, you're already at the point where I think that using Blender is not painful anymore, but actually starting to make fun. Yeah, and when we're talking about fun, have fun with this, guys. Have fun with the software. Have fun with your learning journey. It's definitely a good time to start getting into 3D, because there is so much information, so much valuable sources on the internet already. So it's really easy and fun to learn 3D these days, and it's not like in the 90s where PCs just couldn't run 3D software. It's like you can run Blender on a smartphone basically. So it's a really good time to start with 3D, because many of the excuses that you could make 20 or 30 years ago, they are just not valid anymore. So yeah, have fun. Don't always look for excuses. Go small steps, but go your steps. And maybe you can make a small challenge, like a low poly challenge, but every day you will make a low poly animal. And it doesn't matter if the first days are really, really bad. So even if you mix up or you screw up the topology or the overall shapes, and your elephant more looks like some sphere with some weird, I don't know, whatever extruded out of it. It's okay, it's okay, it's all a learning process, but maybe you can make a challenge of making a 5-minute or 10-minute artwork every day. And you will see, if you do that challenge for a week or maybe even a month, I can assure you that after a month, you will have a certain basic understanding of the software. And it's also so much fun, because you could make a YouTube video out of it, where you are reporting your progress, like this is day 1, this is day 2, this is day 10, this is day 20, and so on. And yeah, I think this will already lead you to a good place. And it wouldn't take any longer than the donor tutorial by Andrew Price in total, because you do not only have to watch, you also have to execute what he's doing. It probably would take less time, but I think you would learn more in that time. So yeah, just make some awesome low poly animals or low poly scene or low poly car or whatever. And I'm pretty sure that if you do that and challenge yourself a little bit from time to time, not to always go the easy route, if you do that, I think that very soon you will be able to create cool stuff. And yeah, just believe in yourself. It's also important to believe in yourself. And yeah, things will be awesome very soon. And that's it. And now the video is much longer than I actually intended. It's almost 2 hours. I mean, that's very long. That's almost like an evening filling video. I hope my voice or my way of presentation wasn't too annoying to you, because I know that sometimes I'm perceived as that. Yeah, maybe you could take something out of it. Maybe you could check out all these sites. And yeah, if you do, I think you're on a good way. I think if I had a teacher when I was starting 3D who could point me out to all this stuff, and I wouldn't have to learn it all by myself, and by reading books and watching videos and talking to people and trying out stuff. I think if I had a person like me, I would have saved so much time and nerves and stress by finding out all this stuff on my own. So I probably would have been thankful for having someone like me for learning. And I hope you're also a little bit thankful for having me and teaching you these things. And I hope that now starting into the 3D habit and the 3D creation is a little bit more and clear and easy for you. Yeah, because as I already said, many people that come to the group, that are new to the group, simply have a problem that they're overwhelmed with all the information and all the channels and all the tutorials that there are. And they do not yet have the knowledge to know what is important and what is not important in 3D creation. Which is why I wanted to make a video like this already for 2 or 3 years, something like that. So this video that I'm just making has been on my to-do list for 3 years, I think, something like that. I know it's crazy to make it after 3 years, but hey, I mean, I made it after all. And yeah, And just really hope that it was helpful for you, because if it was not helpful for you, that would be pretty much missing all the point that there is. But yeah, let's just say it was helpful for you. I hope it was helpful for you, and if it was, you can leave a comment and tell me what you think about it. Of course, you can also give me a thumbs up. That would be really nice, because it's taking time to make these videos, and it wasn't just talking. I mean, I've been recording for almost 2 hours now, but I had to think about what to say. I had to take out all these websites. I had to, yeah, go through Daniel's list to also see what things to show to you, what things to include there. And believe me, with all the preparation time that I took into this, it's more like 5 hours or so that I spent into this video, so it's like half a working day. Or actually even more than half a working day. I'm only working 6 hours every day. So, yeah, just give me a thumbs up and a comment, because as I said, it took me some time to prepare this and to record this. And it would be really nice just to get a little bit of feedback and a little bit of positivity, because as I said already, I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this for free, and when I already do stuff for free, yeah, it would be nice to have at least some positive feedback, because for you it's maybe just like 20 seconds of typing a comment, but for me it's great. For me, if you comment on my videos and leave a small comment, that can really make my day. Like, I go home and I read 2 comments and they're positive. I'm not shitting you. I'm really honest here. If you're just leaving 1 or 2 nice comments and yeah, maybe also give me some good feedback what to make better for the next video, that's really helpful. I really think that's important input. So if that's what you're doing, yeah, that would be awesome. And again, I mean what I say. So yeah. Okay, good. I'm taking too much time now. I already wanted to finish this video for several times now. Yeah, thank you for watching, and hopefully we will see each other again in other videos, or we will at least see each other again on Facebook, in the Facebook group Blender Help for Absolute Beginners. Yeah, it's nice to have you here, and good luck on your 3D journey, and see you soon, guys.